And first we have to ingest data. Where is this data coming from? Well, we have Stripe and Auth0 as cloud SaaS provider that we need to understand, which plan a certain company is on, what kind of subscription they have. Do we have to connect to the right part, to the right team or the right plan, right? So all this kind of metadata that has to pull through Stripe, and then Auth0 because it's one of our provider in terms of authentication logging. So we need to understand, did the user even log in the platform in the first place, right? And for this, we use Fivetran and DLT to manage the ingestion for us. And the Paradime infrastructure works in a way, then each of our customers gets their own databases. So this is a very interesting problem that we had to solve, because you will need to aggregate the data at some point for various different metrics. And we needed to push all these data into BigQuery. We sort of explore various different techniques, data transfer on RDS to BigQuery. Didn't work as well at the end. As your customer grows and scales, then you do have a problem, which is you start having many datasets, one dataset per customer. You need to end up doing a bunch of union that you don't want to do. And there's a point in time when you're gonna, and we eat that, which was a limited number of character in a SQL query, right? I don't write the union, but at some point you're gonna have that. So exactly. Yeah, that's famous our table where we're uniting data. Ultimately, the SQL itself was probably, or the DBT code rather, was maybe 50, 100 lines, right? But then that had a various different macro that will make sure that we'll adapt the SQL on the fly. And the whole thing was, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 lines. And we'll get, so every time we'll get a new customer, that union will get a new entry. And over time, it'll just grow out of any way that could be manageable, to a point that we actually got an alert in one of our production jobs and say, hey, you reached the number of character, figure out a better way, pretty much. So that was an interesting one. We didn't want to have, also a Python script that will duplicate the code and then write into an individual table, trying to hack things together that way, because fundamentally we end up having the exactly same SQL code across multiple DBT model. Again, problem that it wouldn't scale with us, right? So what we ultimately decided to go with is to actually use PeerDB, which is a great tool that allows us to solve these problems. So PeerDB allows us to do CDC and listen to each of our customer databases in RDS and fundamentally insert in an almost near streaming fashion data into BigQuery. And that was a big improvement, because right now it means that we don't have to worry about if it's one new customer, 10 customer, 20 customer. The infrastructure just take care of itself